Class is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone. I appreciate that you all took the time out of your busy schedules to join me and Converge Consulting in exploring why mobile is important to your marketing mix in this webinar called Mobile First? Yes, please. Today, I'll be discussing the latest demographics associated with mobile growth and how these demographics relate to the audiences who visit your online content. I'll also demonstrate best practices for driving conversions on mobile and show how adding mobile into your marketing mix drastically improves user experience, generating more prospects and enrollments for your university. Just a few housekeeping items before we begin. This webinar is being recorded and will be shared with all attendees via email. If you do have questions, please add them to the question box. As time permits, we will answer them at the end of the presentation. If we don't get to your question, we'll follow up through email. So let me introduce myself to you guys. I'm Josh Irons, and I recently joined Converge Consulting as the Vice President of Strategy and Development, and I'm proud to say I head up our newest office in the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia. Philly is also the home of my undergrad alma mater, Temple University, and grad school alma mater, Villanova, who actually met on the basketball court last night and had me very confused about who to root for. Villanova ended up winning and will go on to next week as the #1 team in the country, which we're very proud of. So I joined Converge to help execute growth-focused strategies, streamline operations, and enhance professional development for the team. My experience is in digital marketing. I bring 15 years of knowledge helping small and large companies implement solutions. I'm excited to return to the higher education space, my true passion, after a 2-year hiatus helping out a small digital marketing startup in the insurance space. Now, a little bit about Converge for those of you who are not familiar with us. We're a digital agency that focuses specifically on higher education. Over the last 5 years, we've helped over 100 schools with website redesign, inbound marketing, content strategy, SEO, analytics, and digital advertising. All right, now let's get into what you guys are here for. So in the next 45 minutes or so, we'll dive into the latest demographics associated with mobile growth and how they relate to you. We'll talk about why it is important to prioritize mobile web design. We'll look at what constitutes good mobile site design and how to drive conversions through mobile devices, and also some predictions for the future of mobile. Now, let's jump into the meaning of what a mobile-first strategy is. Consumers increasingly rely on their mobile devices for discovery, which makes it more important than ever for organizations to have an effective mobile presence. The term mobile-first means that an organization thinks about its digital communications very, very strongly, and they consider the mobile experience and how its audience will interact with it on their mobile devices. Their Samsung Galaxies, their LG G4s, their iPhones, their Blackberries. I think there's still a few holdouts who have them. In some development environments, mobile first is defined as moving forward only thinking about mobile and developing strictly for that medium. You guys probably know Tinder, Uber, Snapchat, all extremely popular among online users despite existing only on mobile devices. Overall, we need to entirely rethink our visitor experience and remap a customer's journey. So let's jump into demographics. I have some really cool stats that I'm excited to share with you guys. So what do these demographics look like today? Is mobile as predominant in our demographic that we're trying to hit? As I suspect, answer is a resounding yes. As you can see from this graph from our friends at ComScore, we're now well past the mobile tipping point. You can see an increase in both numbers of users from mobile and desktop, but it's clear that mobile has grown at a much faster rate. I can't tell you the last time I used social media on a desktop. I'm constantly checking email on my mobile phone, and when I'm at my desk working, I find myself picking up my mobile phone for multiple reasons that have nothing to do with texts or phone calls. It's no longer a case of asking whether mobile marketing is important. We know it is. It's now a question of using the statistics to understand how consumers behave. Another graph from eMarketer shows that mobile time in the US per day was significantly higher at over 50% compared to desktop, which is at 42% in 2015. What does this tell us? If you're not able to reach your audience through mobile, or you're not providing a satisfactory mobile experience, you'll miss out on opportunities your competitors likely will not. I just thought this was another interesting and telling image from the Pew Research Center. When asked to choose from a series of statements representing how they feel about their mobile phone, a majority of smartphone owners feel that their devices are helpful rather than annoying, connecting rather than distracting, and they represent freedom rather than a leash. At the same time, smartphone owners are relatively divided on the necessity of mobile connectivity. 54% say that their phone is not always needed, while 46% say that it is something that they can't live without. Can't live without, that's a powerful statement, and while 80% of smartphone owners describe their phone as worth the cost, 19% describe it as a financial burden. Again, those numbers speak for themselves. Another piece of data from Pew dives a little bit deeper into the 18 to 29-year-old demo and shows they lead the pack in email, internet usage, text messaging, video, music usage on their mobile phones. Time on mobile also increases as the demographic gets younger in a pretty dramatic way. To dive even deeper, this last Pew data set shows nearly 2/3 of American adults, about 64%, now own a smartphone of some kind, up from 58% in early 2014. The number is expected to grow to 90% by 2019. And this is just smartphones we're talking about here. When we look at mobile as a whole, we're talking about 91% overall, which is a huge number. As expected, smartphone ownership is highest among younger Americans, as well as those with relatively high income and education levels. Some 85% of Americans aged 18 through 29 are smartphone owners, and this number is constantly increasing. 78% of college graduates and 84% of those living in households with an annual income of $75,000 or more per year also own smartphones. A few more interesting data points are 73% of people always have their mobile phone device with them per a 2015 Facebook research project. Another one, people pick up their mobile phone devices 150 to 200 times per day. Now, I think once I read that stat, it kind of woke me up, and I think I am on the higher side of that, but I haven't realized it until I took notice. So next time you're sitting around and you reach for your cell phone, start the countdown. The results of this are that almost 30 billion US mobile moments happen per day in total. That's a lot of mobile moments and a lot of opportunity to reach the public that you're trying to reach. And all that data is from Forrester. Finally, the mobile sessions average 1 minute and 10 seconds, or 177 minutes per day, and that's some information from Google. Again, this means you have to get your message to your prospects very quickly with their short attention span. Now we know who is using mobile, and if we don't help them find what they're looking for, they'll find it elsewhere. So what do we do about it? We build a killer mobile site. According to convinceandconvert.com, 70% of mobile searches lead to online action within an hour. Mobile users that find opportunities online have a conversion percentage nearly 3 times higher than the same search done on a desktop or laptop. Why is this? Mobile users are on the go. When you're browsing, you grab the laptop, you start researching, or you're just satisfying curiosity for a product or service. When you grab your smartphone to search, you have a specific intent in mind. Mobile searchers are motivated, assuming you can meet their needs. They expect to be able to get what they need from a mobile site easily on their own terms, designed with that context in mind, and without sacrificing the richness of your content. Now let's take a look at a few very good mobile sites. In March 2015, HubSpot published an article highlighting the top 15 mobile sites. Let's take a look at some of these homepages and see what they have in common. Shutterfly and Zappos are the first two. I'll leave the slide up for a moment so you can see what they have in common that makes the usability good. Cool. Hope you're able to find a few things there. Here are two more. Etsy and Nationwide. Take another moment. What do you notice? I notice a search box, obvious call to action, and easy navigation. It's that simple. Now let's look at some higher education mobile sites that follow suit. University of Missouri and William & Mary are both doing it right. They have the search box, an obvious menu, and some navigation that gets you where you need to go easily. Baylor takes a unique approach. They have a very good homepage, which is easy to navigate, but they also take it one step further, and they've added a truly mobile user interface that mimics an app on an iPhone. So, point being, there's a lot of ways to do it that are good, and it's just a matter of getting that mobile site going. So how do we help our visitors convert and participate in the actions that will drive outcomes such as applications and enrollments? We get very specific with several pieces of the mobile experience. The most important things to look at are the homepage, its look and feel, ease of site navigation, site search and corresponding results, ease of form entry, which drives conversions, and overall usability. A mobile homepage should focus on driving users to the content they're looking for. The first thing to consider is that some of these calls to action should be in the user space. A CTA needs to be put in the most prominent portion of the website. Think back to Nationwide site, which I showed you a few slides ago. Keep the important information above the fold or in the menu choices. Hold off on promotions and replace them with calls to action. They're the most useful and will promote more engagement. Menus. They need to be as short as possible while still providing good navigation. Short menus with distinct categories help with navigation a lot. Also, make it easy to get back to the homepage. You can utilize your logo in the upper left-hand corner to do so. Users need to find what they're looking for in a hurry. 29% of visitors immediately switch to another site if they don't get what they need. Every second counts. How do we help users with this? It's search. Just about every example I showed you had some sort of front and center search feature. Place it at the top of your homepage and use an open text field. Search results must be extremely relevant. Users have a short attention span and little patience. Streamline your forms so that it is simple to enter information. Does a number pad appear when a user attempts to enter a zip code, a phone number, or birthday? Does the form advance through fields as the user finishes that field? Do I have to toggle through a long list to see what I'm looking for? I shouldn't have to. It should be super simple. A traditional drop-down is usually the most straightforward way to approach this. Is there a visual calendar to select dates? You can minimize errors by labeling them with real-time validation also. Let's say I'm entering an email address and I forget the @ sign. I would expect to see a red error message appear immediately before I submitted it so I can make that change. Is the form efficient? Is it as short as possible? If it's multiple pages, do you have a progress bar? Can anything be pre-filled? These are all questions we should be asking ourselves when we put the form out there for our prospects and current students to look at. We've all heard about responsive design. It makes use of flexible layouts, flexible images, and cascading style sheets. The overall goal of responsive design is to build web pages that detect the visitor's screen size and orientation and change the layout accordingly so the user has the best experience possible. Not to get too deep into it, but responsive design pages use X and Y coordinates on a grid for layout and mathematical percentages for images of fixed width parameters. Using percentages instead of fixed width parameters and a grid layout creates a more fluid layout that will resize itself to fit the size of the display no matter what device you're on. Media queries, which I just mentioned, are a feature of cascading style sheets. They allow the developer to specify when a certain style should take effect, which has other implications beyond mobile. With the right type of responsive design, we don't have to necessarily build a special mobile version of a website. We can simply build multiple style sheets for the same web page, and as a result, code can be repurposed instead of having to be rewritten, which is a time saver and a money saver. As you can see in the image, the same site changes based on screen size, and it's all dynamic. So there are a few other things to think about that line up with the mobile conversation we're having, and I want to take a minute to touch on those things, and you should definitely keep these top of mind. Search results. On April 21st of last year, Google's mobile-friendly ranking algorithm was rolled out. The mobile-friendly algorithm is an on and off algorithm, so on a page-by-page basis. But it's not about how mobile-friendly your pages are. It's simply, are you mobile-friendly or not? If your site is mobile-friendly, then you benefited from the ranking change. To make it really simple, Google is asking the question, is a site a great user experience or not? That's the same with desktop search as well. The Google link I have below that first bullet will help you find out how mobile-friendly your site is and other sites. I had a lot of fun inputting different sites in there and seeing who's doing a good job and who's not. When you have a chance, put irs.gov in there. It should make you giggle. To make sure we're covering all of our bases, I want to talk about analytics and conversion goals. They're important because you want to see the differences and you want to have the data handy to make informed decisions. Where are you getting more applicants from? Is the drop-off on mobile? Maybe. There could be a problem there. You won't know if you don't know. So digging in and getting analytics set up on your mobile site, your regular site, and finding out where the visitor is coming from is of very high importance. Think about email. Like websites, a large number of people are reading emails on their mobile devices. Are you formatting your emails so that they're readable and professional looking on both desktop and mobile devices? 54% of mobile open rates, 54% of open rates were on mobile in third quarter 2015, and that's pretty impressive. So make sure you're designing for that and thinking about that as you roll out emails. When you're testing, are you doing it on multiple devices? You want to cover all your bases on devices and browsers. Analytics also helps here to find out what your audience is actually looking at your site in. Look to see where they're coming from, and then spend the majority of your testing time on those platforms. Finally, are your mobile ads driving users to your mobile site? If they're not, they could be having a very poor user experience. So I'll take one more slide from you guys, and I will talk a little bit about what's new and next in mobile and give you some of my opinions on where this thing is going. As you know, there's new and next things such as mobile wallets and payments. I've actually used my iPhone to pay for groceries last week for the first time, and I always use it at Starbucks, so hopefully you guys have had some experience with that. Wearable accessories are taking off like a rocket ship with Apple Watches and Fitbits and things of the like. But in my opinion, some of the most important things that are happening are a little bit behind the scenes, and I think they're going to have a big impact in our space. So personal and relevant experiences. Advertising is getting really dialed in. The clutter is going away. Human behavior will be paired with data that's becoming available through phones and consumer-provided information and will allow for specific experiences. The experiences will be completely relevant to the user. So it kind of will make you feel pretty important. The next thing, and we've been talking about this for years, but geo-targeting is really getting dialed in. Mobile campaigns will include multiple location data points, including beacons and geofencing to target prospects at not just the right locations, but also at the most opportune times. Think about it as you're walking through the mall and all of a sudden you get a notification on your phone that there's a sale at your favorite store. Now you know about it and you can go in and cash in that coupon and get your new slippers for cheaper, which is pretty exciting. And then something else that we've probably been hearing about a little bit more recently is ad blockers. And we think that this is an opportunity where they can drive content marketing. With bad user experiences or no user experience without any ads, content marketing can pick up the slack and drive prospects to calls to action on mobile. So we're really excited about that because that's right in our wheelhouse. Great, well, I thank you guys for listening in. And before we start answering some questions, I just want to make sure I mention that Converge Consulting has an upcoming conference in February 2017 in lovely Palm Springs. It's never too early to plan. We're going to be focusing on digital and inbound marketing for higher education, and we're lining up some pretty powerful sessions, so definitely mark it on your calendar. Now, happy to take a few questions from the audience. Whoa, I didn't expect that many. Let me get to a few of these. First one, should I have a dedicated mobile version of my existing website or simply make my existing website responsive to mobile? Well, you have two choices. You can either opt for a single website that displays content responsively, as I mentioned, for different devices and browser types. Otherwise, you can create a standalone dedicated mobile site separate from your main website. I prefer an all-in-one responsive site. I mean, you're really killing two birds with one stone there. This may be better for search engine results too, because you don't have duplicate content. Let's take this one. What are some of the key must-have mobile site features? So besides search, a short menu, and easy navigation, all of which we mentioned in some of the examples that we looked at, an essential feature all business and schools should position front and center is click to call and have a phone number there. Remember, this only works if you can support the phone number, but remember, a user is on their smartphone, and one of the easiest things to do if they're not finding the information they're looking for is to call you directly and engage with you. All right, we'll do two more questions, or three more questions. How can I track the success of my mobile strategy? That's a great question. The most popular user-friendly way to do this is to use Google Analytics. They have free self-service tools that show you how many people visit your mobile site, from what devices they're coming from, and along with where they are right now when they're looking at your site, and how they found you. And you get a lot of data that you can take and use to your advantage. It also can tell you what social channels drive people to your mobile site and what kind of content they are looking for. You can also learn how to optimize your mobile site over time using the data that you have. What are some of the common mistakes to avoid? I think crowded design is something that we often see, and with links that are too close together. Remember, we have adult-sized fingers, and sometimes it's hard to click on certain things if they're too close together. And so also not optimizing image size for mobile bandwidth. The last thing you want to do is be on some sort of Wi-Fi, and all of a sudden it's still taking a long time for the site to load. That could get pretty frustrating for a user, and like we said earlier, the attention span is super short. and they'll be out of there. And one other question, I don't have a lot of resources for a mobile website. How expensive are these? It's really hard to say without knowing the details of your site and how large it is and what you're trying to do, but these type of enhancements never break the bank. Each site has its own set of issues that need to be dealt with, but be happy to talk offline with you and I'll follow up via email. Well, I appreciate the questions. I appreciate your participation, and I hope we can get together on webinars as we go forward and hopefully meet up at some of these conferences that are coming up. I thank you, and have a great day.